Hi everyone. With this week talking about lament, it's honestly something that I don't see in my own Christian circles. A lot of time people kind of treat lament like you're supposed to get over it quickly, or like something you're supposed to get over quickly, and you can be sad for a moment or feel the feeling you want for a moment, and then moving on. Then you have to move on to praise God, so you don't seem very doubtful at all. But when I look at the Bible, I don't see that mindset matching. Psalm 137 is very honest about pain and anger, and Lamentations is basically a long description of someone who feels crushed and hopeless. And none of that is condemned. And it's actually part of the conversation with God and being honest with Him. And so, in my perspective, lament isn't just okay, it's more biblical, and it should be happening. And I think in my own faith community, lament is there, but it's very under the surface. People share prayer requests, but we don't sit in the hard stuff very long. There's a pressure to stay positive or stay hopeful, even when life doesn't make sense or certain things are happening that doesn't make sense. I think that's why also this week's poems were very helpful. Like in Shakespeare's poem that we read, it shows people dealing with frustration and aging and the limits of their own bodies. And I just feel like the quiet and personal pain that people don't always talk about in church should be, not in church technically, but to God and in their prayers. And they should be honest and you should be human about it. And there's no you shouldn't just sit with it for a moment and then move on. You can be honest and really kind of be in your lament. And kind of reading alongside the Bible helped me realize that lament doesn't mean you're weak or faithless. It just means you're being real and truly yourself. And sometimes being honest with God is one of the most faithful things you can actually do. So I think my tradition could use more space for lament, and it's not as something negative at all, but it's a way of saying this is where I am, and I trust God to meet me where I am and help me through this, and not be where I need to move on and then show praise, but instead be honest and sit where you're at and tell God about it and kind of trust Him enough that that you're dealing with what you're dealing with.